University, honorable panel members and guests of the conference, office bearers of Region 10, delegates, members from the print and the electronic media, members of faculty and staff, coordinators of the convention, and my student colleagues. This is Sweksha Das, a student of BBA first year at ASBM University. A very good afternoon and a warm welcome to all of you to the fourth session of the ACBSP Region 10 Conference on Resilience in Education, the intersection of challenge and opportunity. Professor N. Parsuraman, Director, SDM IMD, Mysore, will be the chairing session. He is currently the Director and Senior Professor at SDM Institute for Management Development, Mysore. He is a fellow member of the Institute of Company Secretaries of India and the Institute of Cost and Management Accountants, and a Commerce and Law graduate. His PhD was on capital structure of Indian companies. He has 37 years of experience in diverse areas of finance. His special areas of teaching and research are strategy, financial, derivatives, multinational finance, and corporate valuation. Dr. Parsuraman is a visiting faculty at the Indian Institute of Management, Kozhikode, Indian Institute of Management, Rohtak, Indian Institute of Management, Udaipur, and the Rajiv Gandhi Indian Institute of Management, Shillong. He has published over 30 papers and concept articles in various journals. Professor Naeem Mehtab of Independent University, Bangladesh, is the co-chair of the session, and I request Professor N. Parsuraman, Director, SDMI MD, Mysore, to initiate the proceeding. Please, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's a privilege to be part of this conference. ACBSP and institution ASBM has been doing a wonderful job in organizing this, and throughout the day we have been having wonderful sessions as well. So we're coming to a very interesting sort of session right now, in which two faculty will be making a presentation regarding innovations and their styles, and something that they have done differently, both in terms of their individual capacity as well as from their institute, and for the benefit of all of us. So both these presentations today are going to be directly or indirectly connected to the pandemic, which has been the subject matter of academic interest right through the last 2 years. And all of us academics who are attending this conference would agree that the pandemic has changed things, the way things are taught, the way things are evaluated, and the way things are done in the classroom. And probably it has also changed the expectations of students as well. So all of us are together in this big challenge in which this change is going to take place. Some of these changes have become permanent and will be there even in the post-COVID era. And some of those changes, of course, will go away once COVID is totally out of the horizon. But anyway, we look forward to the two very interesting presentations that we're going to have today. And I first invite Dr. Joseph for making a presentation, first introducing himself and his background, and then making a presentation about his paper. Over to you, Mr. Joseph. I think the access is already given by, I don't, can you, yes. Madam Falgu, can you give the access for the sharing?
Sure, sir.
Yep.
Dr. Ricky, please allow for sharing. Dr. Ricky will allow right now.
Right. Professor Joseph, kindly introduce yourself first and then come to your presentation.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Joseph from UADE Business School. I teach operations management subjects. I used to coordinate ACBSP, and I know Professor Mehtab. I hope you remember me, sir.
Yes.
Yeah. So glad to meet you again.
So happy.
Yeah. Then I thank Professor Parasuraman and Provisi ma'am for this opportunity to present our work about the examination and assessments. This is our title, Online Examination and Enabler or Peril of Assessment for Learning. I hope you are able to see. Right. I start with this quote by Paul Russell. In 1957, he published a paper, Facts and Fancy in Assigning Grades. A grade is an inadequate report of an inaccurate judgment by a biased and variable judge of the extent to which student had attained an undefined level of mastery of an unknown proportion of an indefinite material. Anyway, so the background of this study is during the pandemic, we were all forced to shift from our what we were doing to a completely new environment. There were a lot of hiccups and chaos in shifting and transitioning from the traditional to online assessment or e-assessment. We have been in personal and my colleagues and friends across the institutes experiencing a lot of challenges. So we have documented those and we wanted to present it. So there are a lot of issues when we moved into online. So the evaluation system needs to be defined, which was not properly developed. We were not having enough time to develop those. Right? And then we had dilemma in choosing the tool. There were a lot of online aid and choosing that which one should be okay with us and so on. And when we look at the assessment in higher education, there are a lot of things we need to look at. It is very important and part of the course, and we need to spend a lot of time in developing the online, assessment strategy. And many research suggests that probably I start with ACBSP Standard 4. The systematic student learning assessment process must measure students' knowledge and skill compared to expected outcome. So every faculty who is handling a course, they have to develop a systematic assessment process. Okay, and that systematic assessment process normally we do for traditional environment, which needs to be transferred or we need to develop the same for online assessment, okay, or e-assessment. Okay, but you look at the research already done before pandemic, like 2003, that suggests that assessment practices, so practices are weakly developed in most of the classrooms. So we do have a lot of differences from the Western countries. The Western countries, they have a kind of feedback system, like formative assessment or summative assessment. Mostly formative assessment, they give written feedback, qualitative feedback, so that helps the students to learn further and improve their learning processes, whereas we don't give. And over that, the students spend a lot of time in preparing assignments or meeting the assessment criteria, whereas we are giving here like internal exams, external exams. Mostly we depend on summative assessments, and formative assessment is not that significant yet. And the time the faculty members spend for preparing the assessment, that is also not that great. But of course, like ACBSP and other accreditations guidelines, standard helps us to standardize all those things. But still, I feel like there is a gap in that. Anyway, so evaluation is a complex process, and the assessment methods and concepts are not that clear. Okay? There is still arguments are going on whether formative assessment is good or summative good, or both are needed, or assessment for learning is good. And there is a if you look at the different research articles, definition itself varying from one author to another author. And still there are many authors, for example, Taras, okay, TA or AS, the author, he is trying to define what is formative and so on. So he's consistently doing research on the assessment criteria. And now ongoing assessment practices are really supporting student learning. That is another question. So whether it is assessing them and giving them some grade, and whether that is useful for their learning or not. Okay, what way it is contributing to their learning or improving their learning further. Okay, that is a big question mark that we need to answer. Within very short time period, academicians gone through the throughout the world were forced to adopt online classes and remote assessment. Abella Gracia mentioned that traditional face-to-face had to move to online without proper plan, and the biggest challenge was online assessment of the learning. So during this COVID, the lockdown started in March 2020. We were forced to change
Professor
to
Joseph, let me interrupt you 1 minute.
Yeah.
Kindly plan in such a way that you close your presentation in about 12 to 15 minutes. Because we don't have too much time. We have got one more presentation coming up. So kindly plan to do it by 2:25. We should close this.
All right, sir. Thank you, sir. So there are authors, researchers have mentioned that issues in online assessment like formative assessment or summative assessment, and also the two students' commitment and integrity and so on. And now, why assessment is necessary? Assessment is necessary because we need to know how our teaching is effective. The faculty needs to know, and based on the students' strength and their weakness, we need to customize the delivery of lecture, and or we need to improve the practicals or something like that. Provide feedback to students about their progress, and also it helps students to know where they are standing comparatively their friends, and what level of attainment and so on. So these are the definitions I have chosen from the articles. Assessment for learning. There is assessment for which the first priority in its design and practice is to serve the purpose of promoting students' learning. Formative assessment is to give feedback and also to get feedback from the students about their learning, their attainment of the course outcome and things like that. And peer assessment, that is students are group of students assess the work of other students, their peer. And this helps them to know when they assess their friends' work, they know what is missing, what is required, and so on. So, but the problem is we need to have clear rubrics for assessment, point by point, and standardized one. And then online assessment, we use ICT to assess the work of our students. This is about the literature. Literature review, a few literature I have added here. Here it says that assessment is integral part of the process, teaching learning process. So we need to give equal weightage, like preparing lecture as well as preparing assessment is also equally important. Refer to judgment of students' work and assessment record a comparison point of standards and goals. And when we see the literature, there are a lot of arguments are going on. like formative and summative assessments, and both mutually exclusive, and that needs to be used. And also during the COVID, there are many authors, they have listed several number of tools, and also they have identified the merits and demerits of those tools and methods which is used to assess the students. Right. So these are some of the methods I have collected from different university website, top universities in the world, right? And one is open book exams. So they will write it from the their home, right? Take home exams, right? And then report preparation, case study analysis, assignments, essay questions, literature review, multiple choice questions, student presentations, poster infographics, portfolio, and also vivas. Okay. And during the first lockdown, when we see some of the universities in UK, they said they will not going to consider the grades, whatever they get during the lockdown, because remote examination, remote assessment, right, for the CGPA calculation and so on. Anyway, so this methodology. So we have collected survey interview from the faculty members across universities and autonomous universities. And this is the demographic distribution. We have focused on a few things. One is what happened immediately lockdown started. So remote learning starts. So first thing in that, I think that is winter 2020. So there was no examination conducted. Summative exam, the term end examination was not conducted for many universities. That's what they response. And instead, they have taken the internal exams marks and the grade prepared. And later, they have some of the institutes where they were having LMS, like we have Moodle, and also we use Google Meet often. Right? Moodle is part of our activity. So we were not having much problem. We used Moodle to conduct the examinations and Google Meet to proctor the students. And there are a few other institutions also using Moodle and similar LMS to monitor the conduct the assessment. And if you look at the main problem at that time was the resource problem. That is the network facility for the student and faculty, and also gadgets like laptop or mobile phone. Often students find it writing exams through mobile phone, and laptop is better or tab is better. So, and also some of the students are from remote places where they have poor network connectivity, and that created a lot of issues. And there will be there were a lot of stress level, like psychological issues, because students were nervous about their examination and things like that. And during the first stage, initial stage, majority of the faculty members we surveyed, they have used Google Meet for conducting classes and examinations, and also they have used quizzes. And there later few institutions adopt Teams, MS Teams, and proctoring through MS Teams and exams conducted through Moodle or something like that. The problem here is there are issues here also. The server capacity, technology capacity is also another important one. There will be a lot of delays and things happens because of that. And now they have also conducted quizzes, and some of the institutes have conducted written exams like what we have normally. And the important problem what we faced was, and many faculty reported that similarity, okay, plagiarism, that needs to be controlled. And then ICT for online assessment. Yeah, majority respondents stated that institution adopted some aid and so on. But majority they were using all these aids for summative assessments like Codetandra, and Codetandra is a AI-enabled system, right? And MS Teams and LMS used for formative assessments, and like quizzes or some what's that? The chat enabling chat for the students, and also a discussion forum and things like that. All right, so these are the important one findings, like what the faculty were using during the lockdown. Like the online like LMS enabled us to have discussion forum with rating, and the rating done by the student, right? So faculty have to post the topic, and students will post comments for that, and each comments will be rated by more than one students, okay, and that will be taken for grading. So this will be making them familiarize with the topic. And then peer assessment, assignment will be submitted by the students, and then assessment criteria, rubrics will be uploaded by the faculty, and that will be evaluated by the students. Collaborative team project with multiple university. There is a faculty, she did this. She collaborated with the university in Switzerland, and newly started IIT in India. And these students jointly, they have developed a model for textile industry, that is circular economy, related to circular economy. And then also it enabled the faculty to give feedback to the students, and quizzes, unique questions, like randomized questions. Every students get new question, unique question, and numerical questions can be solved by the system itself, and rubrics used to evaluate the students. So it is focused and biased, right? The periods are like students learn to manage assessments, right? Because they know that the technology and so on. So they started managing those things, like copying things and creating group in WhatsApp and sharing answers, or collaboratively preparing answer for that. So plagiarism increased. Collaborative, and spend money to buy case teaching notes from Harvard teaching notes. They buy and prepare case analysis. And also they go to Course Hero, some kind of third-party sites, and they get customized reports. Reading is replaced by Google. So since it is open book exam, they use Google and copy and paste. Okay. For interaction with peer team, lack of synergy. Proctoring has its own limitations, not feasible to monitor all the activities happening in their own home. Almost no response for the questions asked. This is about formative assessment. No response from the students. They say network issues and things like that. Evaluation is more challenging. Differentiating and understanding the level of attainment were challenging. Stress level of students were very high. The practical implications, what we can use is peer assessment, discussion forum, collaborative term projects, appropriate rubrics we need to develop, feedback system we need to develop. The methods can be combined with the existing assessment. A hybrid system will be useful. So the shift in focus and values are like inculcate ethical values, professional conducts, and let them know why they are studying. Okay, it's very important for learning to know something, not to just get the marks and forget the concepts, whatever they learn. So it is important to carry throughout their career that whatever they have learned. So some of the tools can be used is Turnitin, Unicheck for plagiarism check, and Canvas, Moodle, Proctorio for LMS kind of stuff, and something called WOW Room, World on Window Room. That is IE University they have developed. This is there will be a screen, what you see here, that is like a typical classroom. It is embedded with artificial intelligence, so it will detect the face of the students and let us know how they are interested, motivated, and things like that. A lot of input we get out of it. And summaries, it's an opportunity to explore different assessment skills, assessment methods, and also we need to focus and we need to spend time to develop the assessment mechanism properly, and we need to develop proper rubrics so that it will be perfect. So my idea is, out of this survey, we can have a hybrid kind of system, so that some of the assessment tools will continue with the existing one so that we can get benefit out of it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Joseph. That's very interesting.
Sorry, I think I was a little bit rushing.
Oh. Yeah, thank you very much. That was a very interesting presentation. We will come back to you with some questions because let us have another presentation as well. And then probably, Professor Matha, can we have the questions at the end of both the presentations?
Sure.
Yeah.
That's great.
So now let me invite Professor Umesh. Professor Umesh, kindly introduce yourself first to the audience and then make your presentation, please.
Good afternoon to all my friends at ACBSP Region 10. I wish you all a happy Holi, and I'm delighted that I'm again with friends. My name is Umesh Chandrasekhar, and I'm a professor at PhD Institute of Management. I look after accreditations, and I'm also a professor in marketing. What I'm presenting today is a practice paper co-written with my director in charge, Dr. T.G. Vijaya, and I am presenting on behalf of the team. Since 2021, when we introduced the new syllabus into our system of MBA program, we realized that the mission delivery is critical to us. So for the past 3 years, we have tried to evolve a system where whatever activity we do is mission specific. And ACBSP Standard 4 student learning outcomes has been of great interest to us. And what I'm presenting to you today is a work in progress and what we have tried to evolve over the last 24 months, pandemic and pre-pandemic and post-pandemic. With this context, I will just state the problem. The problem is resilience is a very, very important and a very, very big word to use. And way back in 2019 itself, Rowe et al. Proposed that business schools have to develop pedagogical interventions which embeds resilience. That is a given. The second point is that, we're talking about IQ, EQ, SQ. Pandemic has taught us something very, very important. And especially in the context of our student stakeholders, the fourth one, which is called the adversity quotient, has become extremely, extremely important in today's context. Beyond the nomenclature of measuring outcomes and having statistics and having scores and having grades and having rubrics, the challenge remains that this particular generation, Generation Z, who we teach, and the forthcoming generation around about 2024, Generation Alpha, will have substantive challenges in terms of EQ, SQ, and AQ. With this background of stakeholders, let us see what essentially resilience means in terms of a generic definition, which I'm using here, Cameron and read out of 2020. And you can look at it. There is a plethora of requirements of what we call as resilience. And these, if you observe the elements of each of them, it's very difficult for us to map it in a traditional context of a MBA platform or in a standard protocol of POCO mapping. So we have to evolve something which is much more substantive to deal with this particular matter. Now, resilience is one part of the game. The challenge to us at PhD Institute of Management is that this is the current Generation Z profile I have got. Almost 80% of my students have no work experience. 70% of my students come from tier 2 cities. And the median age at graduation is 23. That means they join us when they're 21 or so. And we have very little out-of-state diversity. And having said that, 70% are engineers, and over half of our women students are our students. So this is the context, and this is my stakeholder. So I have to focus my SLO, which is Standard 4, to this set of stakeholder dynamics, and that is the challenge we try to address in this particular presentation. We went back to our program outcomes, and like I said, each of the program is aligned to our mission pillars. We have 4 mission pillars, which is empower, innovate, research, and nurture. And we listed the 6 core program, what we want to really achieve. What at the end of this MBA program, what should the student really achieve? And we decided, let us not even look at it from a generic term. Can you specify keywords which we can enable and measure effectively? And then on the list you see in the middle, you'll see that there's a list in pink here. And we discovered that the transition, which normally talks of competence, when we talk of competency, we look at what's called the KSA matrix or KSAI matrix: knowledge, is important, which should lead to skill, which should lead to ability. And this KSA matrix, the focus today has been that we have to shift this matrix to the right side. That means skill abilities are taking a greater importance today in the context of recruitment, in the context of challenges which my students will face when they go out in the world. The other challenge which is there, Generation Z has a higher self-value perception. They think they are good at things when they are not. Obviously, there's a competency gap. The third point is that the curriculum has to be different because the stakeholders are different. So at PSGIM, we evolved a philosophy called the 33% rule. The 2021 syllabus, we have done a beta, we have done one semester testing. And what we're saying is that any subject we teach or any subject we deliver knowledge or whatever we do, 33% will be learning. That means 33% faculty will teach, 30% will be directed or self-peer learning, and 30% will be experiential learning. The balance 1% is what I call insight learning, which is a great challenge. This is the context of how we are trying to address the program objectives. And finally, the challenge is to revise the existing methods and tools to find out whether we can really measure effectively these program outcomes and also what we are trying to aim at, i.e. improving resilience among the students. So we went back again to research, and we have covered multiple papers and presentations, and we realized that there is a very strong connect between emotional intelligence and mindfulness. And emotional intelligence at PHIM is a subject which is core, a subject taught to students. Mindfulness is something which is an experiential part which we are trying to attempt. But eventually, the three questions which came to my mind was, can resilience be taught? How do we embed this? And how do we measure this? So we went back to the drawing board again, and we discovered when we did a survey that almost 365 students were surveyed in our institution, and everybody felt that I need to improve my life skills. Now, whether they understood the question or not is a different matter. But what does life skill really mean? One philosophy of life skill is that self-awareness, interpersonal skills, and thinking skills. So we focused on this particular area. And then we did an analysis. We sat with students, we sat with HR students, we sat with faculty, and we realized indeed that our stakeholders are lacking in critical life skills. And this is the starting point of our exercise. If you have decided that our students need life skills, so be it. So we looked at a very basic model, and surprising, sometimes the wheel is round, we discover late. This is a model proposed for school children by UNICEF India 2018. And if you read the elements of each model, to be, to do, to live, to know, you will see the elements listed, which is basically 3 plus 3, 6, 10 elements listed, is the essence of all program objectives, I can say unilaterally, for all ACBSP schools. Every item here is actually a program requirement for each and every MBA student today. And this is looking at a school children level. We took this as a fundamental model. We realized that we should not rediscover water or science. We'll go back to something which is so fundamentally correct and right, and we work on that. And then we translated this into 4 key broad perspectives of engagement: mindfulness, delivery, engagement, and productivity. And this 4, we said, is a building block for resilience among students. And like resilience is a huge challenge for our students at this point of time. So life enhancement skills became a critically important factor for us to develop our SL4 student learning outcome and also the program processes. So how did we do this? We took this along and we decided that, a taught subject necessarily will not yield the high value achievements we need for this program outcomes. So we decided to embed for each some areas of the subject or some activity which is core to delivering these values. So what you're seeing is the list we have given here, and of this, all this list there is very little of theory and measuring exams. These are actually activity-based, experiential learning-based, and fieldwork-based projects. And I will just represent 2 of the examples here just to state what we're doing with and how we are progressing with this. I will talk of ALPS, which is Active Learning Program Services, which is our outbound center here in Coimbatore. And I'll talk of the impact projects which we do. So every semester now, we have this ALPS program as a mandatory for our students in the first year. And every semester for the first 3 semesters, because the 4th semester we use them for placement. Every end of every 3 semester, there's always an impact project happening every semester at end, which is sort of not a capstone, but a summation of what they've learned and what they experienced. So I'll be sharing these 2 examples with you now. The first one is basically enhancing the ALPS experience. Like I told you, it's an outbound center program in Anekati near Coimbatore. It's very easy to say, okay, let us have a rubric, let us measure the activity and score the students and create a program outcome. But our proposal today is this, that this is a direct measure. I mean, by observed behavior, by recording what they're doing and by understanding what they're doing, my program, of creating competence in communication, able to manage task competence, I can directly measure these POs instead of trying to look for a CO route to measure a PO, which is, I feel, difficult in many cases. So this is how this particular assessment works. And just to give you a context, the second half of the video, you could very clearly see the top line skills which I have mentioned here. Leadership skills, team management, enhancing EQ, SQ, and now AQ also, creativity, consensus building, out-of-box thinking, stamina. And it was very clear to us in the second part of the video, the last 20 seconds, who the leader was and who was the most effective leader among the 10-15 students standing on the drums. So this one activity we have mapped out can give us a potentially about 23 outcomes, 23 to 24 outcomes which are measurable, which can be systemic and which can be captured on camera and used as a review process with the student to help student experience this change and also to help improving students' potential in these areas. So this is one example. The second example of what we did was, this was called Vignette 21. We gave a project to the students because the pandemic was going on. They could not come to college, but they could work from home. So we gave them a project. We said all the 180 students, we said you have to find a person who does the job.
So sorry to interrupt, Professor Umesh. Professor Umesh, sorry to interrupt. You have to close in the next 10 minutes, please.
Or I'm 25 minutes, 2 minutes, sir. 2 minutes. I just need 2 more minutes. I'm on the second last slide. I'll finish in 2 minutes, sir. That's a promise. Right? So what we did was that we said you find people who are doing professions you would not like to do, which you find difficult to do, which you cannot even conceive doing, and go and record their emotions, go and record what they're doing and try to understand their point of view. Benefits multiple. Again, the program outcomes, dignity of labor, empathy, understanding pain, social contribution, social awareness, multiple outcomes have come. Just let us see this one. And finally, the last project which we did, we embraced UNSDGs way back in 2016. Before that, we went for the MDGs. And this was a project which is behavioral change management project, where students created posters based on the UNSDG goals. And these posters were floated on social media, were sent on Facebook. And we are about to bring out a book on this by the end of this month, and that book will be showcased in our institute. And this again was a collaborative work of students sitting online, having remote engagement, and the quality of work which you can see is fantastic. And again, it delivers a higher value proposition, and you can directly map the what we want in terms of program outcomes. Forget the course outcome. Directly we can map based on what activity they have created. A direct measure can be taken into account, and multiple benefits happen. So therefore, our philosophy at PSJIM is that it is not MBA in the conventional sense of management of business administration. We say it's management by beyond academics. So philosophy which we espouse is management beyond academics. So in fact, for ACBSP also, we have proposed that this sort of measures as an SLO outcome for Standard 4 can be looked into. And definitely we feel that we are convinced with this exercises that this is the way forward for us to really empower students with managerial and entrepreneurial skills, which is our mission pillar 1. And with that, I thank you for your attention. And Parashuraman sir, I hope I have not taken too much time. No. Thank you again. Thank you.
Thank you very much for a very, very interesting presentation, Professor Umesh. Now, let me ask my co-chair, Professor Naheem Mehtab, whether you would like to start the questions to either Mr. Joseph or to Mr. Umesh or to both.
I would just make a comment. I found both the presentations very interesting, informative, and detailed, and both were of different dimensions completely altogether. And I really like the approach adopted by VIT as well as PSG management, how they tailor the SLOs. It's a good learning, it's a good experience. So thank you, that's all I have to say. No specific questions.
Yeah, okay. I got a couple of questions. One first question to Professor Joseph. So in the after your study, when you made this analysis, what is your conclusion? Is it going to be that formative assessments remain superior to summative, or would you like that to be changed in the post-COVID era now?
Yes, sir. I think formative is great, but we need to have summative also. Formative helps both faculty and students. That is one I think we are missing in Indian environment. We are not giving qualitative feedback to our students. So that we need to give. I think that will contribute a lot and make the environment to learn more. Students may concentrate more on learning, reading a lot of things and so on. And summative is essential because that will help them to consolidate the course and then apply all the concept, like we have Bloom's taxonomy, we can ask them to implement and see how their idea works and so on.
Okay, I got a couple of questions to Professor Umesh. It is actually a combined question, you can say, but two different perspectives to the same thing.
Can I also compliment to what Joseph sir said, or is it not permitted?
Yeah, it is permitted.
Yeah. No, you see, I mean, for example, the challenge today is this, that when you're looking in a context of an MBA program, formative skills, how you deliver it becomes critical. Now, if formative skills are designed, see, we require a final exam for certain papers. I agree with that. But the way you have a formative assessment inherently has to be skill-based. That's my personal opinion. It has to be skill-based and an action-based assessment, because running a midterm test or doing a presentation and valuing it has a limited end outcomes in our experience. So therefore, embedding experiential learning and experiential outcomes as a part of the course in formative stage is, I think, a very, very important, difficult stage, I agree, but a very important step forward in the next quality cycle improvement which we propose. That's my contribution, sir. Yes, sir. Dr. Parashuraman, I'm all yours.
Yeah. Just before the question, yes, while reacting to your just now comment right now. I would like to say that yes, you are right in principle, but the problem is because of the large number of students that we have to assess, sometimes it becomes a little difficult to assess skills specifically because we have to have some methodology which is slightly different from the orthodox.
Yeah.
Right. Now I'll come to the questions that I have for you.
Yeah.
It is in your presentation, you came with some very, very interesting observations. Do you think, how did the COVID at all change this? It could have been done before COVID as well, and probably after the COVID. Is there any reason why suddenly you were inspired to do all this? The first question. The second is a sub question on this. Does this mean that the program objectives keep changing? Now you have a new set of PLOs, and these PLOs would, according to you, as I understand it, would be different from the PLOs that were there before the implementation of this. Is that the way that you're going to plan, or is it ever-changing PLO, or substantially the PLOs remain the same? Both the questions can be answered.
Right. I will answer the second question first. In late 2017, early 2018, we had a strategic review of what we were doing, and the entire mission value of the institute was completely radically changed. When I say radically changed, it was a seismic shift. And the entire mission proposition, I mean, I can share with you later if you like, the entire mission proposition, the vision proposition, and the value statement completely changed. I mean, it is a change which is so phenomenal that even ACBSP felt that you have changed it, and it's for the good. I mean, we have taken feedback from all the stakeholders, and when we changed this particular mission and the vision mission context, we decided we'll have to embed this effectively into any program we do. And that was the starting point. And the earliest we could do this to integrate this particular mission and directed program outcomes was in the 2021 syllabus, which we always plan 1.5 to 2 years ahead. So in 2019-20, when we sat down with the 2021 syllabus, we decided, right, this is my mission. There are 4 pillars of the mission, and these are my program POs, there's a PO also in place there, and this is what I want to work out in terms of POs. These POs will remain sacrosanct for the next 3, 7, 8, 10 years based on what the industry stakeholders tell us. As of now, we have taken feedback. There is no need to reinvent the POs if we change the syllabus after 3 years. The functionality will remain the same. But why we changed this was because the mission completely changed. And that's the foundation of this program, why we changed it. And why 2021 came into account is because of the, the backtrack of, pre-planning for this particular syllabus design, number one. And number two, the first question which you asked, why could we not have done this earlier? We could have done this earlier. We were doing it in a form which was very mechanical. We never used to record the Anikati sessions. I would never. We now understand the value of recording it and showing it to students and getting a self-assessed feedback. Now that is something which is fantastic, and the reason why you are talking about the difficulty in sort of at one go. We have 3, 4, 5 faculty present on site, and these recordings help us to really sit back and work with them. In many cases, we also engage peer evaluation of students themselves in groups. So that is one advantage of it. The second thing is this, that when looking at a course, for example, I teach business environment. We talk of the ethical environment, or we talk of the social cultural environment. We can give them any work on the project.
Small problem on your video as well as audio.
People working in the field get a feel analysis at the end of it all. MBA, basically, I feel that
we are losing you.
Students become good social citizens.
It's not very clear.
We must be net society contributors, and that is the reason why we have tried to use that. Is my audio not clear?
Now better. Meanwhile, I got a question from from a person in the audience. So, please, can you go ahead with the question? SCMS Cochin. You can go ahead with the question, please. I think you're on mute or something.
I think their mic is muted. They have no option to unmute.
Okay, otherwise, if you can put that question on chat, I'll be able to convey that to the two presenters. So would anyone else like to ask a question?
So if the time, yeah.
I beg your pardon?
Yeah. We can read and we can answer.
Yeah, that's right. I'm asking for.
They can type they can chat and we can also.
You can put it on the chat, and then we'll be able to sort of have that. So meanwhile, while the chat is about to come, my next question is to Mr. Joseph. Does this, whatever you have suggested about these assessments, does it apply to courses which are general in nature, like, let's say, strategic management, marketing management, things like that, or very quantitative in nature, like statistics and finance? Would there be a difference in application?
Yeah, the customization is required based on the course what we offer. For example, if it is a strategy, we can ask them to develop strategy. Like the collaborative project, what we are doing is exactly same now, suitable for strategic management. What they are doing is they're developing a business model for circular economy with reference to garments. So that is kind of a strategic work. So the outcome is going to be a model which is the students' perspective. They are going to implement whatever they learned from their classes. For example, statistics, we look at, we can give them assessment, like give a situation with the data and let them analyze and come up with a strategy and action plan and something like that. So we can, we have a lot of cases for each and everything. We can also discuss cases. So that depends on faculty. So they can use different types of tools available for their own courses for formative assessment and summative assessment. Formative assessment, only thing is to give feedback. We need to support them throughout the assignment, and we need to give feedback not only in the end of the assignment, during the assignment. So some of, because faculty are supporting throughout the process, some of the universities are not taking formative assessment marks for grading. Western universities particularly, they are taking only summative assessment. So the answer is yes, we can do that. But thing is, we need to choose the appropriate methodology and tools and the questions with proper rubrics. Thank you, sir.
I know. Let me see if the question has come from the audience. Otherwise, I have one. Okay, there's a question. Completely appreciate the process involved revisiting the mission PLOs. I'd like to know to what extent it led to change in the curriculum and also a new set of tools you have to use to measure outcomes. I think it is to Dr. Umesh.
Yeah, okay. I have a request for the organizer. I think my co-writer, Dr. Vijaya, also is online. Maybe she can join the conversation because she co-wrote the paper with me. If she likes to, that's her choice. That's choice. Yes, the curriculum change has been substantive. In fact, more importantly, what has happened is that the course plans have changed. The course plans applying the 33% rule for at least 7 subjects have changed completely. And the new set of tools which you have created, it is still work in progress, but I'll be happy to share with you. There's a white paper we have just completed. And since I know SCMS very well, and I can definitely forward it to you after the session is over. Just give me some time. I'm back in the college in the first week of April. I will share with you the entire mapping and the white paper which has led to this, the evolution of this process. I'll be delighted to. And if you like, I can have a session with your team anytime. No problems.
Right, thank you. Now, is there any further question from the audience? If not, let me congratulate both Professor Joseph and Professor Umesh for their wonderful presentation. And it has thrown a lot of light into assessments in general, as well as what we need to do to keep changing in these difficult times. It also means that each course, or probably the entire structure of the curriculum, needs to be examined from time to time for...
Sir, my apologies. I think there's a question. So there's a question has come up. I don't know if you see that. Yeah, sorry.
I'm just seeing it. The students are like,
it's the email ID shared for you.
No. There's a question by Tota Raman, which is there for.
No, it's not a question at all. It is students are active in social media. Any idea of assessing these? So how are they to be assessed?
Answer is yes.
Raman is asking. So
yes.
I would ask Professor Joseph, can you answer that?
Actually, interesting and right question. So what I did was for my logistics course, there are logistics forum in LinkedIn, professional forum, where I asked to post comments to the professionals and ask questions from the in the forum, so that they can have interaction with the professionals. That is actually a good idea. It will helps them to understand real problem, and also they can solve their own doubts from the professionals. That's a good idea. Yes, we do use that.
So I think in the interest of time, we have to close the whole thing right now.
Okay,
because
thank you.
We are running out of time right as of now. So as I said, thank you very much for your very excellent presentations. Now I hand this back to Dr. Falgu.
May I just add one thing? I would really like if Professor Umesh and Professor Joseph, just for my own learning, if I get a copy of your slides as well.
Yes, sir. I'll send this.
Done.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Done.
We have to conclude the session with the permission of the chair, Dr. Parsuraman. Sir, may I conclude the session?
Yes, please.
Thank you to everyone present over here, respected chair, co-chair, and the paper presenter of the session for the constructive plenary. Thank you to everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Parsuraman and Professor Mehta. And if Dr. Parsuraman remembers, when you had this conference at your institute, I was there.
Yes. Yeah, I know.
As one of the participants, and we enjoyed our visit to your institute and all those things. So
you are welcome to do that again. In fact, I am also seeing Dr. Rajesh Kajuria here. So he was also a very active member of that particular organization at that time.
And but for this, you should have been here in person. You would have loved that.
Yes. It would have been a wonderful opportunity to meet you all directly. Yes.
Hello, Professor Parsuraman.
Yes, Rajesh ji, how are you doing?
Good to see you, my friend.
So thank you, Dr. Parsuraman. Thank you, Dr. Mehta. We are really grateful to you for this support.
Hi, Julia. How are you?
We will all meet face to face very soon.
Good.
Yeah, sure. And Dr. Khajuria has promised to come to Bhubaneswar.
Right.
Yes, I hope to come on 2nd and 3rd.
Sure. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us. Thank you very much.
So we can close now.
We'll proceed to the next session with Professor Khajuria and Professor Banerjee as our jury members. We'll proceed to student showcase competition.
Okay,
please go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. Dr. Umesh, kindly please de-share your slide, please.
I request Professor Philomena to kindly unshare your screen. Dr. Chandrasekhar, please unshare your screen. Thank you. Yes, please go ahead.
Venerated President and esteemed Chair, Region 10, ACBSP Vice Chancellor of ASBM University, Honorable panel members and guests of the conference, office bearers of the Region 10, delegates, members from the print and the electronic media, members of faculty and staff, coordinators of the convention, and my student colleagues. This is Shadalam Khan, a student of BBA second year at ASBM University. A very good afternoon and a warm welcome to all of you to the 5th session of the ACBSP Region 10 Conference on Resilience in Education, the Intersections of Challenge and Opportunity. Professor Rajesh Khajuria, Commissioner ACBSP, will be chairing the session. Professor Khajuria is the founding director of SMJV's CKSVIM Business School, CEO of Team Projects and Consultants, and a commissioner of Accreditation Council of Business Schools and Programs, USA. He is an advisor to the State Bank of India as well. Dr. Khajuria serves as a member of ASBSP's Risk Assessment Committee, Scholar Practitioner Publisher Committee, and a Business and Industry Relations. Professor Ranjita Banerjee is the co-chair of the session. Professor Banerjee is the Associate Professor in CKSV Institute of Management, Vadodara. She is a certified national level trainer by NSDC and MEPSC level 5. She has been the HR and OD consultant for the corporate and has extensive exposure in HRM, HRD changes management, and organizational development. Now, I request Professor Rajesh Khajuria, Commissioner ACBSP, to initiate the proceeding.
Okay, thank you, Shadan Khan, and Salam Alaikum.
Walaikum Assalam, sir.
Amen. Can you, well, we are very happy to host the students showcase presentations, and Dr. Anjita and myself. My current business school with which I am associated is not CKSVIM, SMJVs, but it is called FPT University in Vietnam. Okay, and FPT is like Tata Group of India, is like FPT in Vietnam, the largest corporate house which has set up this corporate university. So I work there as honorary professor, and at this moment I'm in India. I also serve as the vice president learning with a software company called Rishabh Software. With this little addition to what you said, Shadan Khan, we can start the students' presentation, which I believe you will coordinate. Is that right? Or you are also presenting?
No, sir.
Are you presenting?
No, sir.
Okay, so you will be coordinating, right?
Yes, sir.
You will do a great job, inshallah.
Thank you, sir.
Go ahead.
We have Mr. S. Shahrukh of St. James Institute of Management, Ms. Vaishali and Ms. Gar.
Which institute you said?
St. James Institute of Management.
St. John's. St. John's?
St. John's Institute of Management, sorry, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Ms. Vaishali and Ms. Gargi from Lovely Professional University.
Okay.
Mr. Amlan Jena and Mr. Vasudev Patnaik, as well as Mr. Ankit Prasad from ASBM University, are the student paper presenters of the session.
Okay.
I now request Mr. Shahrukh Khan to present his paper. I think Shahrukh Khan has not joined the meet, so we proceed with the other. I now request Ms. Vaishali and Ms. Gargi to present their combined paper.
Can you share a screen?
Dr. Ricky, please allow.
They can share, ma'am. They have given the power.
Okay, fine. Gargi, please go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Vaishali will be sharing and she will be starting with the presentation.
Okay.
Just a minute. It's getting loaded for me. Is the screen visible? Like, is the PPT visible?
Yes, Vaishali, it is.
Yes, we can see this presentation.
Shall we start, sir?
Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. Me, Vaishali Shaha, and my co-presenter Gargi Pathak from Mithil School of Business of Lovely Professional University, where we are going to give a presentation on building resilience and self-reliance. So, to start with, technical advancement together with COVID-19 epidemic have played a vital part in the psychological development of a student's academic resilience. So in this slide, we'll be speaking about academic resilience, creating self-reliance, where we'll be focusing on 4 major factors: role of psychology in academic resilience, resilience in terms of domain-specific notion, role of cognitive behavior linked with academic resilience, and self-regulated learning method to create opportunities from obstacles. So coming to it, academic resilience. It refers to students' ability to success, to perform better despite having challenges and obstacles, and promoting it in schools entails strategic planning and comprehensive practices involving the entire school community in order to assist young people to perform better than what they think they can. Schools may use certain approach not just help students to beat the odds, but also the odds for weaker students as a whole. When talking of academic resilience, to understand it in depth, we further categorize the factors involved in it as external and internal protective factors. Now, external and internal factors may further be divided into 2 categories. Some students have looked at resilience as a domain-specific notion with various intellectual, emotional, and behavioral elements. Peer groups, encouragement to participate in community, caring, emotional connection among friends with community, and examples are examples of external protective factors that are connected with academic resilience. Internal factors, which are generally associated with attitudes, beliefs, values, or developmental outcomes, such as cooperation, community, empathy, or even strong problem-solving abilities, are well-defined goals and aspirations, high self-esteem, or even self-awareness to develop oneself naturally and environmentally as well, are all connected with academic resilience. Students who are happy with what they are doing perform much better with more efficiency and productivity. Individuals with a proven track record seek out challenge and persevere at a task even when faced with problems. They do not give up easily, especially when their confidence is low. Many students have shown that many students who can self-regulate their cognitive, motivation, and behavioral aspect of academic environment are more effective learners. Self-regulated learning helps in the organization and transformation of how a student perceive and carry out any task or any assignment that is given. Self-learning strategies and personal approaches that aid in the acquisition of knowledge and skills include self-evaluation, goal setting, planning, information seeking, keeping track records, monitoring every minute activity. So the next we move on into how COVID-19 impacted the academic pattern. So academic resilience as defined as an individual's high level of achievement and motivation, despite stressful circumstances that put them in danger of poor performance. Resource and knowledge, grit and perseverance, warning, disengaged, and hopeless are 5 types of academic resilience. The focus of new generation of mental health research has shifted to determinants and effects of academic resilience. So when the world was struck by novel coronavirus in 2019, the first to be shut down were schools and academic institutions around the world. With almost 1.2 billion children out of the school, a radical shift occurred, resulting in the growth of e-learning. in which teaching is done remotely through digital platforms. With this abrupt move away from the classroom, online learning has shifted. Online learning has shifted. Has survived the pandemic, and how much transition has impacted the global education market. Even before COVID-19, educational technology was seeing rapid expansion and adoption, with worldwide edtech investment reaching up to nearly US dollar of 18.86 billion, and the whole industry for online education expected to reach dollar 350 billion by 2025. Since COVID-19 has been a considerable increase in utilization of language apps, virtual tutoring, video conferencing tools, and online learning software. The pandemic has clearly wreaked havoc on an education system. On the education system that many believes have already losing relevance. Some research also illustrates how schools continue to place a greater emphasis on traditional academic abilities and rote learning rather than skills like critical thinking and adaptability. Could the shift to online learning be the trigger for a new effective approach to student education? Some are concerned that the hurried nature of online move has hampered the goal. Others plan to make e-learning part of the new normal, following first-hand experience with the benefits. Now, why is it important for India to become a self-reliant nation? So the most recent appeal for self-reliance by Government of India and elsewhere is primarily about economic self-reliance. But it is more precisely about manufacturing self-reliance in India. There is a new conceptual difficulty that we must face in the framework of national self-reliance, namely the use of term self in the context of the nation. Self-reliance simply means you are not depending on others. Even the simple interpretation, however, has a number of implicit assumptions about inside out, self, other, and so on. So, boost self-efficacy. Self-efficacy refers to a person's belief in their own skills. It contains a distinct self-evaluative component that leads to high or low self-efficacy perceptions. Individual differences in perceived self-efficacy have been found to be stronger predictor of performance than previous achievement or ability, and they appear to be specifically significant when people encounter challenges. Academic resilience refers to a greater chance of success in the face of adversity. Academic resilience research has resulted in the formation of seemingly disparate but connected notions and framework, each attempting to solve seemingly similar issues. Despite making boundaries between their own constructions and resiliency, individuals with a growth mindset see their intelligence and ability as a foundation for development and feel that obstacles, including failure and opportunities to improve their capacity for achievement through effort and practice. Academic viability, capacity to overcome failure, problem, and difficulties that are part of ordinary academic life, according to the definition. So I would ask my co-presenter Gargi to take forward the presentation. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Vaishali. Yeah. So here we would like to talk about the Indian National Education Policy. So the Ministry of Human Resource Development formed a committee chaired by Dr. Kasturi Rangan for preparing the National Education Policy. This committee was constituted in June 2017 and it came up with its report in May 2019. So basically, this very policy focuses on rural as well as urban education system present in India. Basically, the entire policy focuses upon certain principles that are mentioned by the government, which are as follows: flexibility, no hard separations between subjects, curricula, and extracurricular activities, multidisciplinary education, conceptual understanding, critical thinking, ethical values, teachers as the heart of the learning process, and the strong public education system. This very policy, as submitted by the Kasturi Rangan Committee, submitted an education policy that seeks to address the following challenges facing the existing education system, which are quality, affordability, equity, access, and accountability. The policy provides for reforms at all levels of education, from school to higher education. It also aims to increase the focus on strengthening teacher training, reforming the existing exam system, early childhood care, and restructuring the regulatory framework of education. Moreover, this policy is also considered to be a step towards Atmanirbhar Bharat. It aims to strengthen research and development, innovation, and entrepreneurship in the country. As said by Sri Narendra Modi, in his words, it's not about ideology, it's about mindset. It is up to you to be a part of the problem or step up and find a solution. Just because there is a fear of failure, it does not mean one will not take the risks, and we are there to support them. These words of Sri Narendra Modi are quite motivating towards the education system of India. The policy will allow students to choose and study in a language of their choice, apart from fueling innovation, R&D, and entrepreneurship. It has been designed to ease the burden of classroom teaching and examination on students, which shall again play a vital role in the country's march forward. As far as the features of this very policy are concerned, we can easily identify that it is aiming at universalization of education from preschool to secondary level with 100% gross enrollment ratio in school education by 2030. And it is also expecting to have 50% increase by 2035 in higher education. 3.4 crore seats will be added in the same field. Moreover, there would be no rigid separation between academic streams, extracurricular, vocational streams in schools. Apart from that, the new highlighted feature is 5+3+3+4 school curriculum, in which the 5 years refer to the preparatory model and the 3 years refer to the intermediate model. Again, the next 3 years refer to the very moderate model, and the 4 years are the final years, that is the class 9th to class 12th. These are the major education sectors or the phases in which the entire education process of the schools has been divided. To be precise, the foundational stage deals with 3 years of pre-primary followed by class 1 and 2. The 3 years followed by the foundational level is the preparatory stage, wherein classes 3 to 5 are included. The other 3 years refer to the middle stage, where classes 6 to 8 are included, and the last stage, that is for 4 years, which is considered as a secondary stage, includes classes 9th to 12th. May I please have the next slide? Finally, proposing certain way forward, what we can have is, the first is disprove the orthodox practices, wherein the current education system includes a focus on only single specialization. The new education system is focusing on multidisciplinary approach, which in turn would enhance the ability of the student to develop creativity, critical thinking, and teamwork. Apart from this, adopting digital mindset is very important. Currently, digitalization is happening. People are getting used to digital platforms, but it is not creating a digital mindset. It is just a phase wherein they are getting used to such platforms. We need to develop a digital mindset wherein people are ready to accept this, and also create an infrastructure so that people can easily strive towards these kind of facilities. Encouraging responsible risks, again, is a very important dimension. The reason is that when the students from the very beginning of their education system are taught to be responsible for the risks that are coming into their lives, they tend to develop certain kind of critical evaluation abilities, wherein they can stand up against whatever is going on in the society and have a clear substance in their personality. Labeling difficult emotions. As we all know that the current youth is very much confused and in a dilemma. The reason of this is that the existing education system is not supporting the emotional intelligence factor, and it is not taking the same into consideration. Since the school level, people are able to identify the kind of emotions that they are going through, it becomes very easy to handle the difficulties that come forth in the future. Last but not the least, we can also enlist and converse about setbacks as well as human resilience. It is a very common practice that when a student does something good, teacher appreciates that very student. It is quite common. But what if a student fails and teacher makes him or her understand the reason behind the failure? This is very important. If we see the current scenario, teachers tend to highlight only those students who are bright enough and who perform well enough, but they are not paying concentration towards those students who are weak in studies or who are unable to perform because of certain setbacks. So if this kind of an identification of their talent is done from the very beginning, then I guess that people can have a more enhanced and more diversified and multidisciplinary approach towards their careers. Next slide, please. So the ultimate statement that we would like to make here is that the goal of evolving India into a self-reliant nation can be realized only by building resilience in education sector that promotes self-reliance among the youth. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gargi. And what's your name? Vaishali. Vaishali, right?
Vaishali.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Any question, Dr. Ranjita?
Yeah, sir, you may ask first, then I'll ask.
Okay, you are putting me in a fix. No problem.
I had one question actually. So
please go
I'll
ahead.
ask then, sir, no problem. Yeah.
Please go ahead.
This question goes to you, both Vaishali and Gargi, very well presented from Mittal School, I guess. Mittal
Yes,
School of Business.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, very well
Yes.
done. Yeah, because you have presented a total 360 degrees of how it affects the education, and you also presented NEP. What I would like to ask you is that how do you think the national education policy can affect students, like the student fraternity, because you represent the student fraternity. So you have studied and you have represented NEP. That's very good. But then how do you think it's going to affect you as a student or benefit you as a student?
Vaishali, would you like to go forward? Or yeah.
Okay, so as students, we have grown up following a different academic structure, but looking forward and also looking into the way curriculum is followed in the Western nations, competing with them will be much more easier with the NEP if it comes into existence and if it's followed, and also it will give more confidence, not just the people won't read just books, they will be having an overall development, and that will also give them confidence, and they will also have the courage to take up and pursue the career they want and they are most suited with, and they can explore themselves more and become more self-reliant.
Right.
That's all.
And right.
I would request Gargi to speak something on it. Yeah.
Sure, ma'am. Actually, currently we are pursuing Masters of Business Administration, and we know the kind of challenges that are being faced by management students, right? So if we look towards the entire class, we are able to understand that what kind of difficulties people are facing who are not very well equipped with the language that is widely practiced in our country. So the national education policy is basically focusing on one of the important factors, which is that it says Hindi as a language would be a compulsory subject to be studied, wherein this very language, that is Hindi, is not common at all. So the states that are not usually practicing Hindi as a language would be taught Hindi in schools. So at least they have a basic idea of the language. Similar things would be implemented in the other states wherein Hindi is spoken. So the other languages would be proposed in their curriculum, wherein the Hindi speaking youth or the kids would be able to develop a general understanding regarding the other regional languages. So I guess it will create a mix of culture, and there would be no bars as far as languages are concerned, because if we take this education to a global level, we see this is a major challenge, because if you're not able to communicate, it is very, very difficult to, pass on the thoughts. So I guess that is where this policy, if implemented at the very beginning, can make a huge impact. Thank you.
Right. I'm very happy for the think that yes, as a student, you have gone so deep into the NEP. But yes, this vernacular thing which is coming up with NEP, it does create a issue related to the English as a local language, what we say, no, it's an international language. So coming again back to vernacular, how much it will be good or bad, only time will be saying. But I'm very happy that as a student, you are so exposed to this entire thing which is there and which is very rare in the student fraternity. So good luck to both of you. That's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Khajuria sir. Thank you.
Okay. Your conclusions were very interesting, Gargi and Baishali. Okay. So can you share the conclusion back?
So this slide or?
The last one, conclusion.
The way forward, I guess.
The way forward, exactly, the way forward. So which place you are speaking from? Gargi and Baishali?
So currently we are already in our campus, so we are there at the same place. However, Vaishali belongs to Bengal and I belong to Rajasthan.
Okay. And the same place is which place in Punjab it is or where? Punjab?
Sir, so we are from Lovely Professional University,
Yes.
located at Jalandhar, Punjab.
Jalandhar, Punjab. Okay. So it seems that you are in a kind of residential locality. Okay. But on the website, they show some very large campus, you know, like huge campus. So, but this business school is located at different place or in the same campus.
Same campus, sir.
Same campus.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Yes. Could you share the way forward?
Sure, sir. So beginning from the very first part, am I supposed to explain each point, each and every point, or just a gist
I just
of it?
want to pick up one of the points. One of the way forward.
Okay, that would be preferred by me. Is it that?
I will ask.
Okay.
If you show the
yeah. Sure, sir.
Is the screen not visible?
It is visible.
Not to us.
Okay,
it's visible. It's visible. It's visible.
How is it
that
I don't see this?
Yeah.
How is it that I don't see?
So you may need to change the focus. I think it's done to the student, and so the slide is in.
Okay. You know, these are the 4 or 5 things that you mentioned way forward, right?
Yes, sir.
So what are the orthodox practices like? What do you mean?
Sir, the orthodox practices are that the current education system is just focusing on single learning. Like it is very much inclined towards the theoretical aspects. The practical exposure to students is given at a graduate or maybe a postgraduate level for that matter. And students who are not exposed to very good institutions do not even face this kind of an exposure at a postgraduate level too. So there are a lot of programs that are going on at a distance mode, which is again providing a hindrance to this very factor. And I guess that if people or students rather are having such a kind of life project opportunities from the very beginning, I guess that would be a boom for the youth.
So what's like, can you give an example of practical education?
Sure, sir. Like we in our MBA programs have multiple opportunities to apply for internships. We are getting multiple disciplines from which we can apply. We have strategy here, we have HR, we have finance and whatnot. So if this kind of a specialization is focused on the very early stages of education, that is schooling, like, students can opt for a specialization into maybe drawing if they are interested into, maybe visual arts for that matter, because photography and everything is very much in nowadays. So what they can do is they can just have an internship wherein people can be coming in, hiring students, or maybe they can be given a project, a week's project, like a week-long project, wherein they can be provided certain kind of training for the same field. And the summer camps are very common, but not every student is getting into it. But then these kind of workshops, maybe if conducted at a school level, would be very beneficial.
How about information technology? Are you learning? What are you learning in IT?
So as far as IT is concerned, we have a branch mainly, inclined towards it, that is business analytics. So that is where people who opt for this kind of a sector get knowledge about it. Apart from that, we also have it as a core subject during the beginning of the semesters. So currently we are aware that something exists like this, but yes, if we have an interest towards it, we can for sure go for it and have a specialization into the same.
So what kind of software you learn in business analytics?
So we learned RStudio and MS Excel. Apart from that, Vaishali would be the right person to answer to this since she is specializing into business analytics.
Okay, Vaishali.
Yes, sir. So in business analytics, we learn to work with big data. We learn how to clean our data, how to tell story from the data and how to analyze it. We use software tools like R. We use Tableau. We use Python as well. Excel we use, but that is to a limited extent. We generally go with R, Tableau, or even Python.
Do you use Power BI?
Sir, we will be learning it in our curriculum in the further steps. Like I'm currently in first year, so we'll have Power BI in our curriculum. We'll be learning at a later stage. Okay. Now I'm switching on to the last question. That one of the way forward is encourage responsible risk. So what is responsible risk?
So responsible risks are the risks that that are in a very Latin form, I must say. Students especially do not take the responsibility of what they are going to face in the future. So by encouraging these kind of risks, by making them aware of the kind of competition that is existing outside, by making them aware, by just letting them do what they want to, right? Because that is where they will face those risks, they will realize the responsibility of the same. So encouraging these kind of risks is again very important, because that is where you develop any kind of a person into a constructive person, because there are risks are associated with anything and everything that you do. So if these kind of risks are made responsible for a person, that these kind of risks are going to happen, these are the things that you will face in life, these are the things that are conventional to happen, then and only then a person will develop to the fullest. So I guess for 360-degree development that we are just studying as a phrase, I guess this is very important to encourage into people.
I think both of you are going to be better teachers, as well as business persons, as well as great managers, and everything you want to be in life.
Thank you, sir.
Sir.
You are great and keep doing well in your life, and wish you good luck.
Thank you so much, sir.
Good luck to both of you. Great job.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
I would like Gargi and
sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. The next, thank you so much, Vaishali and Gargi. So the next team, please.
Moving ahead to the next presentation, I request Mr. Amlan Jana and Mr. Bashadev Patnaik to present their paper.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, ma'am. All respected faculty members and students present. I hope everyone can hear me well.
Yes.
Sir, very good afternoon, sir.
Very good afternoon.
Very good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am, as well. So moving ahead with the presentation that we have today. First of all, I'm glad also on behalf of my team that we are getting an opportunity even in this times of contingencies and crisis, that we are getting an opportunity to present our thoughts and collect it and present it in a manner to give us exposure. Going ahead, let me just do the slideshow. Coming from an interesting topic that has been given to us, resilience in education, the intersection of challenge and opportunity. We have decided to stress upon the challenges and how we have the capabilities to convert those challenges into opportunities. Hence, our topic being named as crisis and opportunity in disguise. So since the dawn of 21st century, human civilization has seen multitudes of rapid and radical changes in life overall. From macro aspects such as economic dynamics, business and transactions, technology and R&D, to small intricate details in our daily lifestyle, such as groceries, going out on a dinner, watching a movie, etc., have more or less seen a paradigm shift in the way we interact and deal with it. So as we know, as time progresses, our approach towards lifestyle in general progresses with the rapid changes in technology and the way we interact with the society. So as of now, as we are living in the information age, millions of bytes of information getting relayed, encoded and decoded, interpreted and put into use every passing second. So as we know, information is the new currency these days. So we need to navigate and maneuver the information that we possess and how we interpret and put it into good use for our own benefit. Learning and transfer of knowledge plays a key role and fills a vital cog when it comes to overcoming barriers and gaps observed during implementation and transition. So hence this presentation is aimed towards highlighting how these contingencies and adversities prove to be a catalyst for change. So we know we sometimes need a stimulus or need a push sometimes to do or to get an initiative or motivation to achieve our goals and objectives. So sometimes it can be problems and crisis as well, because in a monotonous situation where nothing is happening, a sudden spike or a sudden distortion or disturbance can just rejog things. So this pushes us as a species to envision progress and how to navigate complications to achieve and set our goals in a realistic and sustainable manner. So as a frame of reference, we have taken the example of Industrial Revolution, how the deficit proves to be a stimulus for growth and development. For instance, in the first Industrial Revolution in 1784, the American Civil War happened, and all the adversities and contingencies that occurred in the global stage forced organizations, entities, institutions to come together, and the onset of capitalism began. So it was promoted by need for faster production and transportation need due to loss of resources and waste of human capital. Again, sir, in the second industrial revolution, mass production, electrical power, and the advent of assembly line, it was accelerated for overcoming communication and energy source barriers, dependence on manual labor and globalization. In this time frame, as we know, Thomas Alva Edison and Nikola Tesla, these pioneers, they started being creative, inventive, creating demand, finding out new solutions, first figuring out what are the problems, then answering them and delivering on it. Then moving on, the third industrial revolution, as we know, the Black Plague or the Spanish flu happened in this particular time frame. So this had drawbacks, this had repercussions, but at the same time, post the Black Plague or the Spanish flu, we saw a steady rise of industrial revolution where routinized tasks were assigned to machinery because there was lack of manpower, and focus was shifted on creation and application rather than routinized, regularized manual labor. So then moving on to the fourth industrial revolution, that is the current state that we are in, the information age. The best example would be COVID itself. We are seeing a paradigm shift and a jump in how we have managed to transition into a digital realm itself, where we exist, basically coexist and living two lives at the same time. So it is a crisis and a contingency, but at the same time, it is pushing us to the future platform, the forums that we will coexist and survive and thrive upon. So moving on, my teammate Basudev, he will be giving the perspective, which is tackling crisis. Over to you, Basudev.
Thank you, Amlan. Am I audible?
Basu, would you be able to finish in next 10 minutes?
Yes, sir. I will.
Very nice.
Thank you, sir. So moving forward, the tackling crisis. So when the crisis arises, it's a character composed of two characteristics. One is danger and another one is opportunities. So crisis can emerge new incredible opportunities, particularly if traditional approaches and paradigms are questioned and challenges. During a crisis, incentives and motives changes, potentially leading to new cooperative behavior and even to the creation of new system of structure. So when the crisis arises, we might think that how we should overcome from that particular situation, or we may think, or we may decide to overcome the particular barrier. So rapid problem solving and innovations. So Plato is credited for coining the phrase, necessity is the mother of invention. And often a crisis acts as the forcing mechanism to compel expeditious innovations, leading to rapid advances in technology, policies, and a procedure. The system changes, global crisis that was existing order to overturn long-term norms can pave the way of new systems, structure, and values to emerge take the hold. Without such devastations of existing system and practices, leaders and populations are generally resistant to measure the changes and to giving up some of their sovereignty to new organization or rules. May I have the next slide? So we are taking some real-life examples to elaborate this. So as we all know about the 1992 scam and SEBI, the one of the biggest financial frauds pulled of Indian context forces SEBI to rethink and reform itself. So when the crisis arises in this scam, they find out the gaps and they find out the solution itself. And after that, it is one of the most transparent and optimized stock exchange regulatory body, along with the more enforceable power and authority, as well as the demonetization and digital payment infrastructure. When the demonetization will happen in 2016, 86% of the currencies by value in circulation was announced as illegal tender. On that time, the Paytm and other digital payment companies played a crucial role in keeping the transaction flow alive and mixed. So they find out that opportunities which arouses a demonetization system. So they introduce the digital payment system where the transaction of flow are allowed and make it too convenient for people to carry out the transactions. And environmental concern and Tesla, as we all about the global warming and how the rising of fuels and depleting the reserve and lack of further reasons promoted industries to switch to develop and use alternate energy source which are sustainable. So Elon Musk and Tesla spent heavily on R&D, commercialized. It took a big risk, and now they sell more cars than Ford in USA, becoming the largest market shareholder last financial year 2020, and they're representing the electric car. And the pandemic and Zoom online meetings, due to this pandemic and the online platform were quietly famous due to this COVID guidelines and due to lockdowns, mandated people to stay indoor and prevent in the person's meeting interactions. So if we take an example of ACBSP, which due to this pandemic were conducting this event through this platform. Because of that inventor who invent this app. So if the pandemic were not happen, or if the innovation were not done, we might not be able to deliberating our speeches or deliberating our event through an online platform. So over to you, Amlan.
I hope I'm audible. Yes. Now coming to the perspective of in terms of education, how we can implement crisis management and how it has ramified itself, the crisis into an opportunity. So as pandemic reached on, the education sector took a massive hit. Schools and colleges carried a deserted look. Students were made to sit inside their homes as cases were on the rise. As education and learning is a continuum, pausing or putting the classroom learning into a halt was not an option. Here, internet became the savior as it became the primary medium of interaction and source of information and transfer of learning. So here we have seen a paradigm shift where we can see the curriculum, the pedagogy that we have. From students adapting to the pedagogy or the curriculum or the pedagogy has started to fit into the and cater to the students' needs. As for example, the NEP cases that was taken. So we can also see that the bridge courses that were brought, it was supposed to bring flexibility and allow individuals to pursue their dreams and pursue whatever their calling is, irrespective of their degree, position of degree, or whatever learning they have received in past. This was a radical and revolutionary milestone in the history of education, as institutions braced for a paradigm shift in the mode and interface of disseminating information and knowledge. Brief insights into online and blended mode of learning enabled professors and students alike to adapt and persevere the difficulties faced during the learning program. This promoted, this is a very important point, self-paced approach, self-sufficiency, and individualized learning programs. So as we know, modern learning systems, now it has been very commercialized. It has been given a look of more of a product service rather than just a learning platform where pre-recorded classes are being delivered, or else there are many other sources which we can get direct access from and use it at our own convenience. So here we can see how education has been more flexible and has been more adaptable in nature because of the onset of COVID and the pandemic. As time progressed, the online learning pedagogy evolved, workshops and upskilling was arranged, and as a result, became more refined and all stakeholders were incorporated into the ecosystem. As people acclimatized, innovations took place to make online learning more engaging and interacting. Curriculum was updated, modern concepts were ingrained into the course content. This shows the main attributes of tolerance and resilience. In spite of adversities and complications, perseverance and resilience proved to be a breakthrough moment for the education sector. Different approaches such as blended learning programs, MUC, which is massive open online courses, pre-recorded classes, online learning platforms like Byju's, Khan Academy, etc., have developed processes and output to commercialize and generalize online learning modules. Now, as information is now at our fingertips, now everyone has a screen in their hands at every instant moment, and we can have information on demand. So now what we can do is, rather than focusing on remembering and using the information to store it in our brains, we can just use it to apply, build upon it, create and find out new breakthroughs and creative and productive concepts which can be applied and can be used for better use of humankind overall. Coming to the Bloom's taxonomy, this is the conventional way of disseminating information and learning programs, which is also practiced at ASBM University. So recognizing and recalling facts, understanding the facts that mean, applying the facts, concepts and ideas, breaking down information into component parts, which is analysis, judging the value of information or ideas, which is evaluation, and then creating. Here, because of the digitalization of the learning program, remember and understand, as you know, books have slowly started to become obsolete, and now we are moving more towards e-books, e-learning platforms. So remembering has taken a hit, but we can put weightage on creation, evaluation, and ideation. Here's a very basic model to which can be implemented in the education sector to in times of crisis, so that in future use we can be more resilient, we can be more ready for contingencies which are there to be faced with. Recognition of problem, response and resilience stands for R. Endurance and evolution is for E. Adaptability, acceptance and analysis is for A, and design, development, deployment is for D, which compiles into read, which is the inspiration is reading situations or reading the environment or the ecosystem that we are in. Coming to the conclusion, change is imminent. We take the decisions and face the ramifications, but risks are worth it when stakes are high and people stand to benefit in the long run. Hence, instead of running away from problems and challenges, going head on with them using planning strategies and technologies as weapons, it can be turned around to make it an opportunity. Just revealing the disguise is what it takes to champion your cause. And that's it from us, sir and ma'am. I think we are open for questions. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Amlan and Vasudev Patnaik. Wonderful presentation, great ideas, and you sort of look like a young professor when you were presenting. So, well, that indicates your upbringing by your parents as well as your institution. So, very, very proud of you.
Thank you so much.
Dr. Ranjita, would you start with a question?
Yeah, I would like to ask, first of all, congratulate both of you. A very beautiful topic which you have taken, seeing the opportunities even in a crisis. So that's actually a great learning for everybody. I would like to ask you that how do you think, or what values do you think you could inculcate from the COVID crisis period which you had as part of student or student fraternity? What kind of values you feel that the crisis COVID brought in, which you could actually learn from this crisis as a student? So I would like to ask you
Yes,
that.
ma'am. To answer your question, first I would like to mention it has been a very tough time for everyone, and a lot of lives have been lost, and a lot of people are suffering still. But still, somehow we have managed to persevere, and I think that is what resilience stands for. So to achieve that resilience, first of all, we need to be inclusive, so that we should make sure that the technology that we have or the mediums that we have to disseminate and make information or learning reach out to people should be standardized, universalized, and easy to access for students across, because there can be seen a disparity in the available technology for different categories or segments of students and demographics as well. There is a generation gap as well, but learning sees no generation gap. So how we enable technology to adapt people rather than making people adapt to technology should be our focus. Also, having a culture where technology is not seen just as nice to have, but rather a necessity. So we should not go around and say technology is like a support system rather than it's a daily part of life, which basically it is right now, because we attend online classes daily or use internet or a gadget or an electronic item on a daily basis to get information and exchange information. So I think that two aspects should be stressed upon to tackle situations like COVID and pandemic.
Absolutely, I'm done. Very true. But any value which you thought that yes, you have inculcated because of this particular thing. Technology is surely there.
Yes. Value would be being more open to learning, be it any medium, because the classroom learning has its own exposure, whereas digital classroom have a limited or narrowed approach, but still it can be used as a medium to be more applicative and creative. And it gives exactly the point, which is self-paced. The learning which we have now can be self-paced, which means the individual has the flexibility to optimize and deploy time management techniques. So personally, I would say time management has been a crucial value which I have seen during this pandemic and lockdown, how to manage the dispensable time I have because I am doing classes online. So that would be one value aspect.
And also to be honest to yourself, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Also to be honest to yourself, because unless you are actually looking ahead to learn, you will never be able to learn in this online mode.
Exactly, ma'am. Open to learning, removing the mind barriers that we have. That would be the value.
Absolutely. Good job done. Khajuria sir, looking ahead to you, please.
Thank you,
okay. Now Basudev Patnaik.
Yes, sir.
Like the read slide, which is elaborated, it is like some secondary thought or your own thought, or like how did you get this kind of thinking?
Sir, pardon the question, sir. Which?
Sorry? No, there was a slide on read, R-E-A-D. So yes, how did you think of this as a concept?
Sir, we brainstormed. It's a very novel concept. And,
okay.
It's a novelty.
Okay, wonderful.
Yes.
So you should start patenting. Anyway.
Yes, with the help of our university, I think.
I mean, yeah, no, not the patent, but the copyright, I mean. So that's fine. And then my another question is that how much of IT are you learning in your program?
Sir, we have
you
business
say
analytics.
analysis. So, like, are you learning analytics, for example?
Yes, sir. The interesting part is now that we're in the information age, now every stream or every domain that you see has analytics in it, because we need to have inferences from the data that we collect. So first collecting data, then processing the data, having interpretations, then deploying them, making our artificial intelligence and machine learning sufficient enough to give us correct, accurate predictions. That is the main aspect of IT. As far as our university is concerned, we are being taught business analytics and market research. Me being personally a market research student, we have learned R table, R software, and advanced Excel to use it to find out correlation regression between two variables and see the relationships that the variables have with each other for our own use and research purposes.
Do you learn, for example, Power BI?
Power BI, no, sir.
Business intelligence platform.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Not as of yet, sir. But now that you say it, I'll definitely give it a look. Thank you, sir.
Okay. I will be happy to offer you such an opportunity for Power BI training in Gujarat, Vadodara, and if you do this training, I'll be happy to get you a job in Gujarat in an IT company.
That's a very tempting offer, sir. I'll definitely ponder.
Yeah, I mean, just whether you get award or not, only God knows. But at least you have an opportunity to get into IT.
Definitely, sir. Means a lot, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks from our side, and we are happy with both of you. We would request Shadan Khan to move to the next team.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Shadan. You can take over.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Now we have our last presenter, Mr. Ankit Prasad. I request him to present his paper, please.
So Shadan, we don't have Shahrukh, is it?
No, ma'am, he hasn't joined yet.
Okay.
Shahrukh Khan, are you there?
Yeah.
I'm just loudly. Okay.
Actually, we tried calling him, but he is not receiving the calls.
Okay, no problem. Don't worry. He must be engaged somewhere, and he maybe he's in,
so we'll move on.
Yeah,
we'll move on.
Sort of trouble. No problem.
Yeah.
Happy to see you, Dr. Falgu Niranjana, Pro Vice Chancellor, ASBM University.
Thank you very much. So we'll move on with Ankit Prasad.
Yes, Ankit.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, one and all. Is my screen visible?
Very well.
Yes, sir. Yes, so the theme for today's conference is resilience in education, the intersection of challenge and opportunity. So my topic is impact of COVID-19 on Indian education. So coming to the introduction part of my study, the impact of pandemic COVID-19 is observed in every sector around the world. Both the education sector in India and the world are seriously impacted by this. It has triggered the worldwide lockdown, having a really bad impact on students' lives. Approximately 32 crores learners stopped moving to schools and colleges, with all educational activities halted in India. The outbreak of COVID-19 has advised us that change is inevitable. It has worked as a catalyst for educational institutions.
Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Ankit. Your screen is not visible.
Yeah.
Ankit, your presentation is not there.
Just a second.
Can you please share your presentation?
Sure.
So Shadan, why didn't you participate?
I'll surely do the next part. Yes.
Is my slide
Now it's visible.
Yes.
Yes, screen is visible.
So can you go to the first slide, the title slide? Okay, wonderful.
Can we?
Okay.
Can I proceed, sir?
Yes, please.
So coming to the introduction part, the education sector in India has been witnessing a massive transformation recently with the changing job landscape, technological disruptions, demand for the quality education and implementation of National Education Policy 2020. So the pandemic posed several challenges in public and private schools, which included an expected rise in dropouts, learning losses, and increase in digital divide. The pandemic also called into questions the readiness of systems, including teachers, to address such crises and sustainability of private sectors. So approximately 32 crores learners stopped moving to schools, colleges with all educational activities halted in India. The outbreak of COVID-19 had advised us that change is inevitable. It has worked as a catalyst for educational institutions to grow and opt for platforms and techniques which have not been used before. Coming on to my objectives of the study, my objective is to enlighten various measures taken by Government of India for education sector during this pandemic, to highlight various positive impact of COVID-19 on education, to enlist some negative impacts of the COVID-19 and make some effective suggestions for continuing education during this pandemic. So coming on to the initiative of the Government of India on education during COVID-19, COVID-19 has forced universities across India and the world indeed to suspend physical classrooms and shift to online classes. In India, while this transition has been smooth for most private universities, the public ones are still adapting. There have also been debates on the nature of classes and future of examination and evaluation, whether they could be conducted online or. Non-Government of India has taken a variety of preventive steps to March 2020. Second point is to the Central Board of Secondary Education, CBSE, as we all know, and most state governments and other educational boards postponed all secondary and higher secondary school examination due to outbreak of COVID-19. As education institution remains closed, nearly all state government ministries have taken steps to ensure that academic activities of schools and colleges are not hampered. So what is the present scenario? How the institutions are coping? Let's focus on this. Looking at this challenge of shutting down colleges and schools, the Government of India as well as the state governments and private players have taken necessary initiatives. The Ministry of Human Resource Development has made a variety of arrangements, including online portals and educational platform via direct-to-home TV radios for students to continue learning. Students are using popular social media tools like WhatsApp, Zoom, Google Meet, Telegram, YouTube Live, Facebook Live, etc. for online learning system. So the impact of COVID has some positive impact over the education system. So let's discuss on this. Education institutions have shifted towards a hybrid mode of study. As we know, blended learning. Blended learning means presence of both online as well as offline classes. So it has come into picture. It has encouraged all teachers and students to become more tech savvy. Rise in use of learning management system has opened up a great opportunity for companies developing and strengthening learning management systems for the use of educational institutions. Enhance the use of soft copy of learning material. There is a new opportunity for collaborative teaching and learning to take on new forms. Collaborations may also take place among faculties, teachers around the world to learn from each other. There is rise in online meetings. The pandemic situation has led people to learn and use digital technologies and has resulted in increase in digital literacy. Worldwide exposure, educators and learners have the opportunity to interact with the peers from around the world. So Impact of COVID also helped in the time management. Students preferred online and distance learning mode asset promotes self-learning by providing and the society of resources and personalized learning as needed. So this impact of COVID also have some negative aspects. So focusing on that, education activity hampered as classes have been suspended and exams at different levels have been postponed. Most of the recruitment has been postponed due to COVID-19. Students' placement may also have been affected by companies delaying on-board students. Unprepared teachers, students for online education, increased responsibility of parent and education of their wards. As several students have limited or no access to internet, and many students may not be able to afford computer, laptops, or supporting mobile phones, online learning can create a digital divide between the students. The higher education sector has been significantly affected. A large number of Indian students who are enrolled in many universities abroad, especially in the worst affected countries, are now leaving those countries. Payment of colleges fees got delayed. So my suggestions would be India should develop innovative solutions to ensure that all children have safe access to learning during this time. Indian policies must include different people from diverse backgrounds, including remote areas, disadvantaged and minorities, communities for successful implementation. Immediate action needs to be taken to reduce the impact of pandemic on work prospects, internship programs, and research projects. Many online learning platforms provide several programs on the same subject with varying degree of qualification, curriculum, and evaluation criteria. Thus, the quality of programs can vary across various online learning platforms. It is therefore important to establish quality assurance framework and quality standard for online learning programs. Connection to the technology and the internet is a matter of urgency at the present time. Digital technology and the resources needed must also reach out to remotest and poorest communities in order to make it easier for students to pursue their education during the pandemic. Coming on to the conclusion, I would like to conclude by saying, while many challenges have emerged, different opportunities have also evolved. The Government of India and various stakeholders in education have discussed the possibility of open and distance learning by incorporating different digital technologies. It is time for educational institutions to strengthen their knowledge and information technology infrastructure in order to be ready to face similar situations. That will be all from my end. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ankit. Prasad.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Ranjita, questions, please.
Yeah, Ankit, I'm happy that you are the sole presenter. I mean, you did the presentation alone without a friend. That's all right. But then you have presented, so that's really good. My question to you is that what have been your learning? What have you done to increase your learning during this COVID period? To increase your learning pace, or what have you done for yourself to enhance your learning quotient? You can say during this COVID period.
Ma'am, during this COVID period, ma'am, I had gone through various challenges and various difficulties as well. But I have mainly focused on upskilling myself. The communication, there was a communication gap which I overcome, and also the business analytics part I focused upon. So yes, these were the three factors majorly: upskilling, the business analytics, and the communication skills, on which I worked.
What did you do for upscaling? What did you do for upscaling? Any courses in particular which you had joined?
Ma'am, courses, ma'am, courses, no, ma'am, but basically, ma'am, I have got linked myself in various certificates, and also, ma'am, I have attended many webinars and etc. for upskilling my knowledge.
Good. That's what I'm asking. So that's very good. That's good. That's good. Yeah, because like you're presenting on COVID and all the opportunities and all the things which government and all has done towards the L&D. So it's very important that, yes, have we also done something to upscale ourselves, right? So that's basically practicing the thing which we are doing. Okay, that's good. Yes, Khajuria sir, over to you, please.
No questions. I'm good. The presentation was well done.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All the best.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. All the best to the candidate. And any other candidates?
No, sir.
Shadan Khan.
No, sir.
Okay. I was asking, why didn't you participate?
I will surely do the next time.
Okay. Are you a teacher or a student?
Sir, BBA student.
A BBA student. Conducting
Yes.
conducting the competition of MBA students.
Really great.
What a
Very happy to
leadership
see that.
opportunity you are getting at your university.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. So, Dr. Ranchita, would you like to sort of, after this conference, discuss with me, right, about the evaluation on the rubrics
sure.
which are sent to us?
Yes,
So,
yes.
right. So you do your job and then I will do my job and then we'll finalize. So if you can do this as soon as this session is over, then we sort of do our duty and we send it to the organizers with our recommendation.
Surely.
Right?
And I would like to convey my deepest gratitude to Biswajit sir, because I could see him personally today in the conference, also to Falgu ma'am. That's very nice to see the entire team here live.
Okay. I am adding one more introduction. Professor Kalyan Shankar Ray. Is the Vice Chancellor and Dr. Falgu Niranjana is Pro Vice Chancellor. And Shadan Khan is a future Vice Chancellor.
So with your permission,
Dr. Khajuria, you have picked up well. She will definitely shine in life, whether in academics or in industry, I do not know, but she will shine in life.
Yeah, she is already playing a leader amongst MBA students, and she is just second year BBA. So that's wonderful. Shadan, I have been to mentor Saudi Arabian University in Saudi Arabia. Have you been there?
no, sir.
No. It's a wonderful country and very well developed. And the women there are highly educated.
Yes.
Professor Kalyan Shankar Ray and Dr. Falgu, the university I mentored, and they became, their college became ACBSP accredited.
Oh, great.
Yeah. This was a few years back. That's called Jubail University College. Okay. JUC. They have a men's campus and a women's campus separately, which is as per their rules. So in about, I don't know, many years, I was the first man to get permission to enter female campus. And the Saudi Commission permitted on the request from the dean of the female campus called Dr. Dina. Dina is also a Gujarati name and a name in Saudi Arabia also, and a name in Sudan also, Dina, D-I-N-A. So Dr. Dina was a Saudi woman, a PhD, very experienced. She was heading and remotely connected to royal family. She sought special permission from Jubail Commission, and I was granted, and the head of the college program said that he is as a Muslim, he is staying and teaching in male campus since inception, but he was never allowed. So, and I met wonderful lady teachers over there. 94% of them were PhDs from around the world.
Bah.
And then they said the Saudi government supports them so much to do higher education that anywhere in the world they can go to do PhD, and they and their husband and children, as many as they may have, they are free to accompany them, and entire expenses will be borne by Saudi Commission.
That's great.
Because they say that to a woman, we cannot send her alone. So she needs her family and her husband. So everybody goes to support the lady to do PhD, and everyone goes free. So there were 34% men who did PhD as a professor and 94% women.
Bah.
Which is so different than the image which is in the outside world.
Yes.
Right? The world thinks that the Saudi women are not educated. They are more educated than men over there.
Yeah.
So when Shadan Khan grows and becomes kind of a master's or PhD at ASBM University, I think she will get a great job in Saudi Arabia.
No, we would like to have her here with us. Why send to Saudi Arabia?
She can go anywhere, but in Saudi Arabia, she would get a currency which is of very high value. And now the Prince of Saudi Arabia is opening a lot for females. So females can get a driving license there, which was not there before 2 years. And there is a theater opened, which was not there. So I think there are great opportunities, and they need very qualified people over there. You know, so Shadan can get a very quick entry. Others take time.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome. Anyways, so I thought I will de-stress you with some stories.
With your permission, sir, we would now conclude the session. I wholeheartedly wants to thank respected chair, co-chair, and all the participants for an interviewing session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Khajuria. Thank you, Dr. Banerjee. Nice to meet you at least digitally. I have met Dr. Khajuria physically. Dr. Banerjee, I am meeting for the first time digitally. Nice to meet you.
Yes,
and we enjoyed the way you conducted the session and the questions that you asked. And thank you, Shadan. Good job.
Thank you very much. Thank you for joining. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Hope to see you in Bhubaneswar on April 2nd and 3rd.
Oh, we'll be very happy. Welcome.
Please come. Please come. We'll be very happy.
So I'm just planning. I'll send a message to Professor Patnaik whether if I come on 1st, is it okay? And then I leave on 4th. So a day before and a day after, is it okay? I'll ask him.
Second, we are tentatively starting the program at 5:30 p.m. The Honorable Governor of Odisha will be inaugurating the program, and he has given that time. Yeah.
On second.
We wanted to start in the morning, but Honorable Governor has given the time as 5:30.
Okay.
So we'll be starting at 5:30. Inaugural session on 2nd, and 3rd will be presentation of papers.
Presentation of papers. Yes.
Actually, 1st April is Utkal Divas. That is the foundation day of our state.
Oh, so it's a holiday.
Yeah, it's a holiday.
Okay. Okay. And like, do you have a guest house in the university or something like that?
Yeah, we have. We have.
Okay, wonderful. So I will be happy to stay in your guest house, and maybe let me plan. I will check the flights now, and I will book maybe arriving on the previous night and leaving on the 3rd, kind of. So 2nd morning we can have time together for a kind of meeting discussion, and 3rd conference, and maybe 4th I can leave, something like this. Right? I will check with my friend and I will then book today.